Hello, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. If it is Wednesday night, you know that I will be here at 8:35 Eastern Time. However, tonight I am in Arizona, so I'm on at 6:35 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Just a little bit earlier, at least for my mindset, right? But thank you for joining me. You know that tonight I am talking about the five essential things you need to know about the tug of war bias and how it affects women. If this is your first time, you know that Dr. Twanna Carter, and as a career coach, I work with stressed, busy women executives who are plagued by the imposter syndrome, self criticism, and doubt. I help them to alleviate stress so they can find peace of mind and fully focus on excelling in their careers. I am so happy that you joined me. I know some of you are on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you joining here. As you hop on, let me know what city or state or country you're hopping on from. Love traveling, doing a little bit more of that this year. And Marianne says, boy, do I need this tonight. Well, good, Marianne. Let me know what you need. Drop me some questions or comments in there, and I'll be sure to cover it. Right. So the tug of war it's tough. And I do not have to tell you that. If you have ever experienced or been in an environment and you've experienced this, you know what I'm talking about, right? Let me say that, in the workplace, according to the Workplace Bullying Institute, it found that 80% of women that are bullied in the workplace are bullied by other women. Men are equal opportunity bullies. They will bully anybody. But 80% of the women that were bullied, they're actually bullied by other women. Hey, Alabama. All right, I'm liking Alabama's in the house. Yeah, so my house is actually in Helena, Alabama. So what part of Alabama? So Marianne says she's from Alabama in Alabama by way of California. So I was just in California this weekend before I flew out to spend some time with my dad. So wow, what a coincidence that is, right? So yeah, I was saying that 80% of women that are bullied in the workplace are bullied by other women, right? And we know that women have come a long way, right? We've come a long way when it comes to, you know, getting promotions in the workplace, right? We've come a long way. We talk about that, pursuit of success and career advancement. We've come a long way, but there are still, the progress, despite the progress that's been made, it is undeniable that gender biases still exist in the workplace. They do, right? And unfortunately, this lingering bias can be a source of conflict between women, but not necessarily because of the reasons that you think. And we're going to talk about that. Randolph County. So Marianne says she's Randolph County. Yeah, so I'm in Shelby County. That's where my house is. Chilton County, Peach County down there. Yes, absolutely. Spent quite a bit of time in Chilton County and places down there. So absolutely. It's always nice to hear people talk language you kind of hear, right? Alabama's in the house. Cool, cool, cool. I do mean, I love to get questions or comments. So do drop them in the chat. And every so often, I will be sure that I am checking that chat. So I am scooching. I like that word, scooching. Scooting it over so I can see the comments as they pop up, right? And so, yeah, I was saying there's still biases in that to create this conflict between women, but not necessarily for the reasons that you think, right? What the research says is that in male-dominated industries, meaning it's mainly males, yeah, there'll be females, but it's been male-dominated. Women who make it to leadership roles or make it to what is perceived as a top for a woman, right? They can face intense pressure from other women who want those same roles. Or, and this is what I've experienced, right? Women who quote unquote made it at the top, they fear that they think you're coming after their job, right? And women become caught up in what Joan C. Williams called the tug of war. That's the term that she named it. And so here's what happened. What happens when you're in a predominantly male-dominated environment, and because of bias, men can get promoted whenever, whatever, but women are perceived to only have one space at the top or at that table, one slot, and there's already a woman in it, right? Then it sets up this pattern, right, of competition that happens, right? And basically, that woman will say, I'm at the table. I'm not like those other women, right? I get stuff done. I can be just as ruthless as a man is. I'm here because I deserve to be here. That kind of competition, especially when it's perceived like there's no other role in this company you can get but through this, right? That woman will start engaging in passive aggressive behavior. Basically, in your face, yeah, we're women, we have to get along, let's support each other. And then when your back is turned, they got that knife deep in it. She's incompetent. I had to bail her out. She doesn't know what. And so, okay, so Marianne says, so today I am a senior program manager. I have to make a program. Is that a program manager um, that will not engage and do his job? I've had I've held his hand for months. Project manager. Okay, cut the apron strings yesterday and asked him to open his role. He ran above my head and leadership calls me not to be so direct. Ooh, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, that's it. Yes. Yes, oh yeah, that part. What, you know, had I been a man, this wouldn't have happened. You are so right, Marianne. You are so right. It's trying, and I'm going to talk about the tightrope. So be sure you come back. I don't think that's the one next week. No, we're doing maternal wall first, but in 2 weeks, I'm going to talk about that tightrope. That's what you're walking right now. That tightrope. Yeah, you're too aggressive. You're too direct. Absolutely right. So when we're talking about, women who perceive that, you know, I got here, I deserve to be here, and no one else is getting my role, they become passive aggressive. They talk about you behind your back. They smile in your face like, yep, we can all get along. Um, and then sometimes they're just outright sabotaging you. They are withholding stuff back. If there's 15 steps or something, they may give you 11 other steps and leave out stuff because they want you to look bad. They don't want you to look good enough to be a threat to their job, right? And so some of them or do things like leave you off meeting invites, like, oh, you didn't get that? And everyone else walks out of a meeting, and lo and behold, you didn't attend the meeting because she didn't leave you. Or like if there's happy hour, the company, everybody agrees to go a certain place, and everybody gets an email except for you to be sure you're not there and you are not a threat to her, right? And also, it could lead to basically, unprovoked attacks, verbal attacks in meetings. Like you're sitting there minding your business, all of a sudden there's this barrage of words, and they're attacking you, trying to make you look bad in front of everyone else, right? And this is all in a tip for that woman to stay on top. It's trying to undermine you so she can stay on top, right? This actually can create a lot of hostility in that job, right? And you may have heard this intensive competition between women derogatorily called a cat fight, right? Because it's women competing, it's a cat fight. When men compete and they're backstabbing, they're just, fair play. Do what you got to do to get ahead. But when women do that, then it's called a cat fight. And this is very derogatory, right? Now, you may also have heard this called the queen bee syndrome, right? So, here's the thing: when a queen is, she's a queen bee of the hive, and if any of the workers look like they may try to take her spot, she will attack them. She will even eat them alive, right? All to protect herself. I am the only queen bee that will be here. And that's why you sometimes hear that tug of war. We have these women, it's such intensive competition. You may hear it called, the fact that you have the one on top sabotaging everybody else to protect her. But you have to understand, it's not just because she's a B word that winds with which. We all know what word that is. It's more, women act like this because of bias. If there were more positions opened up in that company, you wouldn't get this kind of behavior, because this kind of stuff typically doesn't go on at organizations who women have just as a fair shot as a man getting those positions. You don't typically see this, right? And what happens is, because of women, they may either be harder on the other women, and that's why you hear women say, I don't ever want to work for a female boss. I don't ever want to do that. They're all this, they're all that, because it's traumatizing. It is very much traumatizing to deal with someone like this, right? And even if the woman is not at the top, if she perceives you are a threat to her getting to the top, she won't carry on the same type of intensive, competitive behavior, trying to talk, trying to take you out, trying to undermine you, right? And that's why they sometimes may treat other women more harshly. And in some cases, it just becomes bullying. Like I said, 80% of the women who do the bullying, yeah, I'm sorry, 80% of the women who feel bullied at work is done by other women. Okay. And again, it's gender bias in the workplace. And it's not just the perception that you're going to get my job, it can even be the perception around motherhood, right? You know, if you were a good mother or you have 3 kids, why are you trying so hard to get ahead? Or if you were a good mother, you would be at home raising all your kids, all your kids, instead of trying to get ahead in your career. Again, the tug of war that goes back and forth. Either you're too feminine or you're not feminine enough. Either you're too ruthless or you're not ruthless enough. It sets up that tug of war in the place, and it's all because of biases, right? And so, what I do want you to understand is there are some ways, some suggestions how to work with this, right? And if you haven't read Joan C. Williams' book, What Works for Women at Work, and I'm going to try to show it here. It's always hard because of my virtual background. Let's see how that, yeah. Yeah, no, 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 little bit. No, but it's called What Works for Women at Work. She's got a whole book about it, because at the time of the writing of the book, she had 4 different biases that women may face at the job. And now she has a 5th one, and I will cover that 5th one too. That's a newer one since she wrote the book, right? So, again, do let me know questions, comments, if you have any there. So, here's some suggested ways when you realize that you are in an environment where that tug of war is going on, or that the female boss is making it much harder. And sometimes they do that under the guise, I'm just trying to prepare you. Sometimes yes, but a lot of times it's they just want to be sure you don't take their job. And so here's 5 ways you can handle this, right? Number 1, be direct, right? Just have one-on-one, call them, in a separate meeting, and basically just do a one-on-one chat. You know what? I really admire what you've accomplished. If I've offended you in any kind of way, my apologies. I didn't mean to do so. I think you're a true role model. I'm not here to take your position, but I really would love to learn from you. Whatever, I would love to continue seeing you journey here. Something like that. Just be very direct. Because oftentimes when you are direct, it's kind of like a bully. When you face them direct on, they will shift their behavior. As long as you take it, they feel like, well, you're taking it, so I'll keep giving it. But be direct in facing them. If I've offended you in any kind of way, I apologize, but I do admire what you've accomplished here, right? Number 2 is recognize that as women, we don't have to be all kumbaya. We don't. Okay. Work on being non-judgmental. And it can get messy. I'll use that word. It can get messy when you have several generations in the workplace, because you may have the baby boomers or Gen X talking about Gen Z, or Gen Z complaining about millennials. It can get messy because we're being judgmental based on who we are as people. But really work on being non-judgmental. We don't all have to like each other. We just need to get along and get the mission done, right? Number three, respect everybody's journey. You have to respect that journey, right? So Gen Z may not understand what the baby boomers went through to get to where they are, right? They worked hard to get there. But in turn, the baby boomers may not understand how Gen Z sees the world of work, right? For the most part, baby boomers and Gen X, one of the things is we lived to work, that we lived to work. Well, Gen Z is not feeling that. Gen Z is like, no, I'm going to work so I can live and do what I want to do. So maybe not everybody wants to have kids and stay at home with their kids. Maybe not everybody wants to work 13 hours a day to get ahead. You know, basically respect each woman's journey. It's not, sometimes it'll be the same, sometimes it won't be, right? And then number four, do work on, collaborating, build allyships between the different generations or between the different women, right? At the end of the day, all of us are women, and what we're experiencing, especially with the bullying and the tug of war and all of that judgmental stuff, it's because of bias. It's not us individually, but the commonality is we're all experiencing bias. And then also, along with working on collaboration, advocate for other women, advocate, build those allyships, and also advocate. It's a great way to do it. Fifth one, if you truly are at a space, at a place, and I laughed about this when I wrote it down. So I loved Hollander with Adrian Paul. Actually, I loved Adrian Paul, and I liked the show he was in, Hollander. But the premise of the show was there can be only one. If you are truly in a workplace and there can be only one, then make sure that you are planning the rest of your career journey at another organization. Get what you got to get at this leg of your journey. Learn what you got to learn, network with who you got to network with, get your experience that you got to get, and then move on. It's just, it's not worth the bullying and the stress and the anxiety that comes from being bullied, right? It's not worth it. That's what career coaches are here for, to help you with your career journey, not just the one leg of it. And where you are is one leg. We're not just there for the one leg. We career coaches help you with the entire journey. So as you take those different pathways and those legs and those detours, we can help you get to where you got to get to. You don't have to stay in place taking that kind of treatment, because sometimes after you try to collaborate, you did the direct talk, it just doesn't work. Some folks are so scared to death, they're so anxious that you're going to make them look bad. They are insecure. It's in your best interest to move on to something else, right? That's just it. Okay. So let me ask you, has anybody out there experienced this tug of war, seen how some women are harder on other women? The guys, not so much, but they're harder on the other women. Or, there's women, people in the workplace complain. She's got kids. She's trying to climb the ladder. Maybe she should just go home. Or she's this because she doesn't have kids, or Gen X is this, or Gen Y is that. How many people have heard that in the workplace? Let me know in the comments. Okay. So I do appreciate you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you catch this on a replay, drop replay in the comments. And I do appreciate you for catching this on the replay as well. If you want a free PDF of the tug of war bias, and I'll drop some extra information in there too, just drop PDF in the comments and I will get a copy of that out for you. So again, I'm going through the 5 types of biases that women experience in the workplace. So be here next week, because I'll be talking about the maternal wall bias. And just to give you a hint, it's not about you being a mother. You don't even have to be a mother to experience this one. Yep, that's right. So I will see you next week, and take care. All right. Bye-bye.